All right, guys. Thank you for joining me once again. Appreciate it. So this live stream is probably going to be a little short or shorter than normal, or rather, I'm going to try to keep it short. Probably jinx myself. Whatever. Not the point. Yes, like Mike said, fancy meeting all you guys here. What a coincidence. We're all on the same channel again. Anyway, Smoky Blazer, I see you. I see your comment. You're banned on the other channel. I'll take a look, but I don't think so. Yeah, man, YouTube's doing some bullshit. Again, man, it's. I know a lot of people think it's us, but it's not, because there are people like, yo, I'm banned off your channel, and then I go and look, and then I don't see the person in the banned list, right? So, yeah, 4x4, reaching Cold Mountain. All right, all right. Cat Lady, thank you for the 5x5. Appreciate it. So, guys, with that, we're going to talk about the New York State Reparation Bill. I am pretty sure, I'm 1,000% sure, this is going to piss some people off, but fuck them, whatever. Now, doing a little more research about this, the bill that's I did a video on this, I think. I think I did it today. No, it's coming out Saturday. Sorry. So the video is going to be released Saturday. But that video is more of an opinion video. This is going to be more about the bill. Now, the bill that's being released, guys, interestingly enough, the bill is actually called, hold on, let me pull it up for you. I should have fucking had it ready. But the bill is actually called 2619A, right? So New York State Bill 2619A, which was established January 19th of 2021. Now, they threw this bill out there, and it was almost immediately shut down. It was introduced by a bunch of politicians. I've never seen so many fucking politicians on this bill. With that, guys, the purpose of this bill is actually the purpose of the bill is actually to get a committee together. Blue, thank you for the donation, man. I appreciate it. So to get a committee together, and in the first part of the bill, which, not that I was confused, because I sort of understood what was going on. Stupid, but I understood what was going on. Is that they want to build a committee like California did. So California did the same thing. They had a committee come, they built a committee first. They had these people go through hoops on who was going to be in a committee and who wasn't. And New York State is doing the same thing. You have to have qualifications to be in this committee. And after the committee is assembled, then they go out and start doing research on how much is enough for people to get reparations, right? So, of course, they did the 40 acres and a mule calculation, right? And that's how they applied it. And then they applied that. The math was 40 acres and a mule, and how much would that be worth back then? And then how much would it be worth now? And that's sort of the math they came up with. That was in California, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Now, they called it a task force because it sounds more mean and fucking, yeah, we got a task force together. No, bitches, you're a committee of nerds. You're a committee of nerds, fucking pencil pads and pocket pen protectors and all that kind of nerdy shit with tape in your glasses. That's all you are. You're not a task force. Anyway, so in California, they came to the conclusion that it was going to take $569 billion in reparation to slave descendants. That goes to, I don't know how many people, but it works out to be $223,000 per eligible person. And they said they're also getting this because of lingering housing discrimination practice. So this money sounds like it's to buy a house. I don't know. And anything over $100,000 is a lot of money. $223,000, that's a lot. Now, me personally, guys, Blue, good night, man. Thank you for joining us. That's a lot of money, guys. But the fact that that some people seem to think that that's not enough. Some people seem to think that $223,000 isn't nearly enough. So what's enough? I think that's a lot of money to begin with. I think that's too much. Listen, I don't even think that a reparation bill is needed. And yes, some people are going to bring up the Japanese. Well, the Japanese got it, and it was given to the Japanese government. It wasn't given to the Japanese people, actually, because a lot of those descendants weren't here. No, scratch that, reverse that. The Americans gave them reparations, or payback, if you will, for dropping a bomb on them in Japan. They gave family members, the surviving family members, money here in the United States, and it wasn't a lot. Now, interestingly enough, for the Japanese, it's only $11 million. So there weren't a lot of people left. With the Jews, the United States did not pay reparations. What the United States did was they took money from France and paid out family members who were involved in the Holocaust. So somehow France got involved. They paid out their reparations to the United States, to the family members. The United States was the middleman. They had nothing to do with it other than that, other than giving out money to people who, I guess, deserved it. But listen, guys, here's the problem with reparations. It doesn't work. It does not take back what was done to you. Money doesn't make a situation better, and money is not a cure-all. If you want reparations, reparation has to come in the form of something bigger, something that's meaningful. Money is not meaningful. Now, again, I don't know why Japanese got money for it. I do not know why Jews got reparations for it. I don't understand it, because it doesn't take back what was done. It doesn't take back that, in some cases, in the Jews' cases, half their family, if not all of their family, was wiped the fuck out. So I don't know how money makes you feel better. I don't know how getting $200,000 is going to be like, you know what, guys? I forgive slavery. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Getting money for reparations from Germany to France to surviving Holocaust members, they're not going to sit there and go, you know what? I forgive the Germans. I forgive Hitler. It doesn't work that way. So why give money for reparations? Now, somebody on here is going to say, well, what about the 40 acres and a mule contract? All right. That is a valid point. It was a contract that was given to the African Americans at that time, not now. So at that time, that was a contract that was broken with them. That contract had nothing to do with us. Now, I say us, I'm talking about blacks. I'm not African American. I'm Caribbean, Puerto Rican. Right? So for African Americans, it doesn't change anything. RDW, RWD, they haven't come up with a what you call it. They haven't come up with requirements on who gets it and who doesn't. And I think that's going to create. Listen, that's the one thing I'm not anxious about. I can't wait, because you have to. Everybody can't be eligible for this. You just can't. I don't understand, because one part is they want you to find your lineage. Half of, if not most of, African Americans cannot find their lineage to slavery. All they know is that their family members were slaves. Now, I knew one girl who told me that her grandmother, actually the lady that I was talking to last week, she said her grandmother was a something servant, which is part of slavery. I said, all right, but that's your grandmother. I'm pretty sure she's not around anymore, so she doesn't get it, right? Listen, guys, reparations is a Pandora's box. Once you open that fucking door, you cannot fucking close it again. People are going to sit there and go, well, what about me? How come I don't get reparations for being treated like shit? What is the prerequisites to getting reparations? Being treated like shit? There goes half of America right there. Then what about the Italians when they came here and they were treated like shit? What about the Irish when they came here and they were treated like shit? They were just a step above Negroes, if I don't mind. The mix were a step above Negroes. They weren't slaves, but they were being treated like slaves, right? That being said, where's their reparations? Right? Where are the reparations for the Polish when they came here and they were treated like shit? Or the Chinese when they made them work on the railroads? Where does it end? Right, and it's funny, I was reading about the Native American casinos. Not all of them are owned by Native Americans. Some of them were built on Native American lands by corporations that let Native Americans on the board because they gave them the land to build there. Because a lot of the Native American casinos, they're not tax free, but they're taxed less, right? So I was reading that today on some kind of casino something site. I was like, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, with that, guys, the reparations is just not. I don't see how it's going to work out. Now, California, guys, right now is $118 billion in debt. If they go through with the reparations in their state, that's going to put them at $570 billion. That's an additional, $570 billion of debt. That's going to come out to almost $700 billion in debt. So the state is going to put themselves in debt to pay people who weren't there, black descendants. Then you know what? Then the black descendants should look back to Africa and have those African nations pay them back. Welfare is reparations. One can argue that, Janie. One can argue that welfare is reparations for the American people. But someone goes, I want my check. Smokey Blazer, listen. As tempting as it is to apply for it, right? I wouldn't, even if I was eligible for it, I wouldn't apply for it. Because you have to have some kind of fucking morals. You have to have some kind of standards in your life. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't take that. Now, some people are like, well, you could take that money and then do what with it? Me taking that money puts New York State in more debt. Not that I give a fuck about New York State, but it just adds to fucking more problems. Robert says, we don't need their crumbs. No, you're right. But listen, if there was a senator, her name is, the fuck was her name? Taylor Darling. Taylor Darling is, interesting enough, was cute looking for an assemblywoman. When I saw her, I was like, wow, she's fucking cute, but not the point. The point is that this idiot thinks that the $223,000 that the Californians might be getting, she said wasn't enough. So if the $223,000 wasn't enough, what is enough? Where is that line? How do you sit there and go, well, if that's not enough, what is enough? Is $500,000 enough? Is $600,000 enough? Or is it $7? Or is it $1 billion per eligible person enough? Right? So again, guys, you when you have somebody like this idiot talking about it's not enough, how much is enough? You're not going to, New York is so liberal, they might bankrupt themselves just to prove a point, which is stupid to me. They're the type of state that'll set themselves on fire just to be like, we love our Negroes, we'll give them all the money. They'll do that shit, you know? Yeah, Obama would get half the amount, Patty S. Absolutely. Because he's half Negro. You mean welfare? Is Section 8 still a thing, Miss K? I didn't know. I need reparations for this live stream. Yo, okay, thank you, Little Socialism. I think that's how you say socialism. Here's the thing. What about my reparations for being forced to retire because I didn't want to take the arm ticket, right? There are going to be so many people that are going to come up with reparation excuses. Where does it stop? Now, yes, some of you are going to argue that Native Americans, that African Americans were treated shitty. We were. That's not an argument. That's a fact. African Americans were treated like shit. So were Native Americans, right? Native Americans never really got reparations. They so-called got more land to open up casinos, but they never really got reparations. With that being said, guys, should we get it in this day and age? No. Should have people back then have gotten it? Yes. We are so far removed, I don't think we are right for it. But again, that's my opinion. Nomad Prepper, I definitely see some kind of lawsuits coming out of it, especially if there's too much money involved. Especially if it's going to bankrupt the state, right? I think that's why the federal government's not getting involved. Now, I know, what's that fucking light-skinned asshole's name? Booker is in the dictionary. Socialism. I'm not even going to try. I'll look it up later, a little scolculism. But yeah, I'll look it up later. But like that little Booker T, whatever the fuck his name is, the light skinned asshole that's dating Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson, yes, that guy. He wants to do it on the federal level, and I don't think they could do it on the federal level. I think each state has to handle it on their own. Miss K says, hell yeah, Section 8 is a thing, and the majority of black people are on it. Isn't it time we get off of it? Section 8, fucking Cory Booker. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I don't know why I said Booker T. Washington. Wrong black guy. And actually, Booker T. Washington was an inventor, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, with I don't know, guys. Again, that is just my opinion on the matter. You know, it's. I'm sorry, Booker T. Washington was an educator, not an inventor. I'm thinking of the other guy, but yeah. But anyway, Booker T. Washington was a black guy, and with that, Booker T. bitch ass Booker, Cory bitch ass Booker, Brian, our boy Hemingway. Thank you. Yeah, listen, guys. I don't think we belong on this program. I think reparations is just a bad idea. It's online subscriber, good one. Thank you for bringing that up. Online subscriber said, "What about COVID reparations? Where does it end, guys?" That's what I mean by Pandora's box. Yes, suffice it to say, in a perfect world, should people get reparations for shit like this? Fucking no. Because it doesn't change what fucking happened. By humanity's standards, guys, everybody should get reparations. Again, because I didn't get to finish it, what about going back to African nations that turned black folks over to white folks to sell them as slaves? Why don't we go back to African nations and get our reparations directly from them, as they were also the cause? Right? The Dutch were also a big fucking trading transportation for slaves. I hate to say it that way because it wasn't transportation. It was horrendous. But nonetheless, what about that, right? What about the Dutch company? I know that Dutch company doesn't exist anymore, but still, right? And Mr. T was on the A team. Yes. Yeah, Mr. T was on the A team, not Booker T. Linda S says, I'm 1% Nigerian. Would I get it? No, not unless your Nigerian brothers and sister were here during the slave trade. Booker T is a wrestler. Is he a wrestler? What a dude? I don't know. I don't follow wrestling anymore. Go Shura. Was the Woman King that bad? Because listen, the only reason why I want to watch, I wanted to. I don't want to watch it, but the only reason why I wanted to watch The Woman King was because of Viola Davis. She got in some sick shape for that movie. Her old ass got in a sick shape. That's the only reason why I wanted to watch it. 1.6 Hudson Valley says, I'll take the 1.6 million the 40 acres would cost. But right, the 40 acres where? The 40 acres in a mule, it was nationwide. So that, yeah, it would vary from state to state. Absolutely. Cory Booker. Why the fuck I kept thinking Booker T? Whatever. But, and here's the other thing. Thank you, Mrs. John Johnson. Slavery still exists today. So all those people going to ask for reparations when they finally get free to let go. Look what the fuck's going on in Africa with the cobalt mining, guys. That's fucking bad. That's fucking slavery. Motherfuckers here like, well, my ancestors, okay. Your ancestors moved the fuck on to a better life. Look what's going on in Africa. Why isn't anybody addressing that shit? That atrocity. Where's their reparation? Those fucking kids are getting fucking destroyed and killed, and they're going to have major medical problems down the fucking line for all that shit they're breathing in. Right? The cobalt mines in fucking China. I mean, in Africa, that the Chinese own. No one's addressing that. You know, I was thinking about it today. I was talking to my friend, the chick I was talking to. We were on the phone for a long time. We were talking about a lot of shit. The one thing we were talking about, lithium mining as well, right? But it's cobalt and lithium, or is it just lithium mega preparedness? I can't say that fucking name. Nomad. Prepper. I was just about to get into that. So nobody wants to talk about the sex slave trading industry, the sex slavery that's going on. No one wants to talk about the slavery that's going on in other countries as we speak. Nobody wants to talk about the slavery at the diamond mines, the cobalt mines, the lithium mines. Nobody wants to talk about the cobalt for any, the slavery for any of that. What about, thank you, LPFX, slavery for making shoes? Nobody wants to call any of that bullshit out, but they want reparations for some shit. Listen, you want to fucking you want to give real reparations? How about you take the reparations you get from the United States and you give it to those fucking African kids digging in the fucking dirt like that? The problem is, guys, is that they don't want to give up slavery, and I'm meaning the elites. If you look at where the slavery is starting and where it's going and who's running it, it's all the elites, guys. It's the Chinese, it's the elites, it's the fucking Russians, it's the Americans at some point, it's the Yugoslavians, it's all of them. Nobody wants to address slavery. They are scared to fucking address it. Why are they scared to address it? Because they're going to need slaves when the fucking shoe drops. When the other shoe drops, guys, they want to get fucking slaves back in order. Now, yes, there are digital slaves, a lot of us. There are sex slaves, what's going on in the world. You can end sex slavery so fast, but they don't want to do it. The FBI will give you some bullshit about how the sex slave trade industry is so deep and so immersed. No, it isn't, dude. It ain't that fucking hard. It isn't that fucking hard to find. Now, it is hard to find the women, but it's not hard to find the guys who are running this shit. You start with Epstein and his little fucking book of lies and his book of names, you're going to find exactly who's in charge. It doesn't take fucking rocket science to figure this out. When you look at fucking the slavery that's going on in those mines in Africa, it doesn't take fucking rocket science to figure out who's running those mines and how we should be giving the screws to them. Now, yes, without the fucking lithium, without the cobalt, we won't have a lot of shit. But guess what, guys? I'm ready to sacrifice and give up all of this shit if they stop that out there in a heartbeat. I will give up my laptop, my fucking iPad, my watch, my lights in a fucking heartbeat if it can end all of that bullshit. And it won't. Because they don't want to. Because the elites need to stay in charge and they need to have power over everybody. Don't get it twisted, guys. Slavery around the world has been monitored and everybody fucking knows who's running this shit. Everybody knows who's in charge of those mines. Everybody knows the fucking guy who's trafficking these teenage girls across the world. And women, across the world. They know who the fuck they are. They know which Saudi princes are banging fucking these teenage girls. They know which Russian politicians and American politicians are diddling little boys. They know all of this shit, guys. All of it. And yet we sit here and we do nothing about it. Well, again, there is a solution. Some of you are not going to like that solution. But nonetheless, it's the only solution. Now, obviously, guys, with the sex slave trade industry, that's an easy one to start with. That's an easy one to crumble. Very easy. But you got to put the screws to the right fucking people. And once you get the screws to them, you can shut down that industry almost overnight. Oh, that industry almost collapsed in on itself because of fucking COVID. And if COVID was able to do that, imagine. Kit Carlson, there are so many heads of human trafficking. But that's easier to end. That's a lot easier to end. They like you to believe that it's a hard one to end. They like you to believe that it's impossible. It's not impossible. There are motherfuckers out there and they bleed just like you and I. So it's fucking not impossible to start. It's a bullshit ploy by the fucking, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, the KGB, whoever the fuck it is, guys. The British Secret Service agents, the Iraqi Secret Service, it's bullshit. Everybody knows where they are. They're motherfuckers who track human trafficking women and people. They know exactly who the fucking higher-ups are and who the heavy hitters are. You start with the heavy hitters, guys, you can get to the fucking source in no time. Marine's daughter, yes, if they publish Epstein's little book, it all collapses. Because so many politicians around the world, not just American, not just British, not just Russian or Japanese, especially Japanese fucking politicians like their little girls and like their what do they call them, shit parties. right? So with that, guys, there's a lot of fucked up shit. And listen, this shit's been going on since politicians, since the Roman empires and before that. Men of power and even women of power have fucking been diddling little kids for probably as long as humans have been walking this planet. Nonetheless, it can be solved. It can be dealt with. But to deal with it, there's got to be a lot of sacrifices made. Because here's the one thing, guys. You got to be ready for these motherfuckers to come knocking at your doors, for you to go missing, for your family to be in danger, for this to end. That's where the problem lies. And people don't want to address that. They don't want to address that. You might be putting your family in fucking danger if you start venturing down this road. But it's an easy one to fix, and nobody wants to fix it. Right? But, yes, Tyler Madeline. Yes, Bear's been doing a good job with that. And it's funny. There's another reason why he doesn't talk about it a lot anymore. He didn't tell me. I sort of found out. I sort of put two and two together. And I'm not going to say it here either. There's a reason why he doesn't talk about it much anymore, and that's a good fucking reason. So he is doing a good job. But to be that guy in that field that's looking for the girls, that's a heavy fucking toll on the guy. There was one guy, I didn't know him personally, but my buddy who bartended at a bar in the Bronx knew a guy who did this. This was his job. He used to look for missing girls, or missing kids rather. And that job took a toll on him. Every time he saw him, he looked like he lost more of his soul. So if you want to get into that field and look for these kids, that's going to eat you up in the end. You might even eat your fucking own gun. All right, I think I went too far again. Yes, I went too far again. Sorry, guys. Listen, other than that, guys, this can be solved. Don't let these motherfucking politicians, the FBI, the CIA, whoever the fuck it is, don't let them tell you that it's fucking hard. It isn't. If you could find a guy in the middle of the desert in a dirt pile, Obama, oh my God. I meant, what's his name? Oh my God, what the fuck? Osama bin Laden. Jesus. All right, if they could find a guy like that in the middle of a dirt pile, they could find these fucking kids. And again, this is not a secret world, guys. It's out in the open. Right? It's out in the fucking open. So, anyway. And yeah, somebody was saying Pizzagate. Crazy Backyard Chicken Man. Yeah. The Pizzagate thing. Right, the Pizzagate thing they were trying to say wasn't real. My ass, it wasn't. It was bad. You know? But, and that's the other thing. Listen, these reporters out there, they're like, there's injustice to black people. What about the injustice to the fucking thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of kids missing? And what about them? Why are we focused on black people living in America that have a better life than those kids that are fucking being drugged up right now to suck a dick? Right? Why the fuck are we focused on that? But we're focused on injustice of fucking black folks? When black folks, in fact, are doing more injustice to themselves than actually fucking cops are. I don't want to go down that fucking road again. But let's just fucking entertain the fact that there are kids out in the fucking sticks right now, or in the wind, rather. Sorry. They're out in the wind, and they're fucking, and they're missing. We know where the fuck they are. We have an idea where they are. They like to sit there and go, well, you know, once 72 hours have passed, and they're in the wind, they'll never be found again. There are so many fucking missing kids, it's impossible for that. Like, if there was if you had 10,000 kids missing, yes, that can definitely get lost. But there are fucking hundreds of thousands of kids missing. And the other problem is, guys, you know where these people are. That's the bigger thing. You know where they are. The politicians will lead you right to them. People say, oh, they get lost in Saudi princes, those Saudi Arabian assholes with the fucking $1 billion bullshit. Those guys love to bang fucking these girls and these kids in the sex slave industry. Like, I don't know how many of them do it, but a lot of them do it. And one guy I spoke to who was in that circle says it's a large percentage of them that like doing this shit. So let's start with them. Let's start with the fucking billionaires who have these fucking girls on their boats, their yachts in international waters, so they get away with this shit. Let's start with them. Let's blow up a couple of those boats. I don't know, sink a few. We start with them, hold them fucking accountable. Like I said, guys, there's a fucking trail. The trail's out there. It's not that hard to find. Anyway, that being said, guys, I'm gonna go off the air. I'm gonna take it easy. And if I don't come back Tuesday, they probably got to me. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys Tuesday. And yeah, that's that. Thank you guys. And thank you for the donations and the support. All right.